Hello and welcome to the Summer Box Office 2019 series. I'm your host Tyler Callahan and I am happy to be back doing this. As you know, I have a strong interest in the box office numbers, predicting and analyzing how movies do and why they do good or bad. So, this video will go over the May predictions, and obviously every month we'll have one for June, July, and August. So this summer we got what I feel is a stronger slate of movies than last year. The strongest in the 3 years now that I have been doing this. We got the conclusion to the Marvel Cinematic Universe for now with Endgame. We have the return of Godzilla, Toy Story, remakes of Aladdin and The Lion King, and the end of John Wick, and more. So to keep the results fair and make a good comparison to last year at the end of this series, I will keep the same brackets as last year for grading purposes. So for example, if it is plus or minus 20 million domestic, I get an A for that prediction, and so on and so forth. The grades will be ranked shown on the screen here. Now, I did not make it clear last year, but this series does not stop with these videos on YouTube. On Instagram, I post weekly updates about how some of the movies are doing and compare that to my prediction. And I'll be doing that again this year as well on both my personal and business Instagram accounts at TylerCallahan95 and at TylerCallahanMedia. Finally, let's get into the predictions for May. First up is the big one, which, just like Infinity War last year, was moved out of May by a week. This year it is Avengers Endgame. Endgame is being set up and feels like an event, not just a movie, an event. More so than Infinity War. This is like Star Wars Episode 7 or Return of the King level of excitement. Pre-sales have been breaking records left and right, and I think right now it is a guarantee to pass 2 billion worldwide and pass Infinity War as well. The question worldwide though is that can this hype hit number one worldwide and beat Avatar? See, Avatar made 2.7 billion, but a lot of it was due to its crazy legs that had it lasting almost 5 months. That came out in December and was still in some theaters running into April of that year. So that had crazy legs. Can Endgame do that? If it was released in December, I would say absolutely it would kick Avatar's ass. But it is kicking off the summer season, and by the end of May, it'll be going up against Aladdin, Godzilla, Detective Pikachu. That's a lot, but that is the summer season. So I'm going to say no, it will not beat Avatar. It will not take first place. I think it will definitely pass Titanic and become the number 2 worldwide of all time. And with that, I think it'll end up around 2.5 billion worldwide. Now, domestic. See, based on pre-sale numbers, it should definitely pass Infinity War and maybe even Black Panther. So I'm going to be a little bold here and say $775 million. It will pass Avatar domestically and will also become the number 2 all-time domestic movie behind The Force Awakens. This movie is going to be crazy to watch the numbers come in, and it's going to be great. The next movie is Long Shot, a romantic comedy starring Seth Rogen and Charlize Theron, and is being directed by Jonathan Levine. You may not have heard of him, but he has directed other small comedy movies, including Snatched and The Night Before. This will make some decent money as counter-programming against Avengers. Now looking at Mr. Levine's previous movies, they do not make a lot internationally. With this one being based around a Secretary of State, I do not think the international audience will care much for it. So I will say around 50 million domestic and 70 million worldwide. Next is a movie I've been looking forward to a lot, and that is Detective Pikachu. This is a live-action Pokemon movie developed by Legendary Pictures and distributed by Warner Brothers. And based on the trailer so far, there is a good amount of hype for it, and the movie itself does look good. Like, this is not just nostalgia hitting people. Unlike other video game movies, this does look good. However, there's not a lot here to really base the prediction on. And of course, there are a bunch of animated Pokemon movies, but most of them do not get a theatrical release in America, so the numbers would not be accurate. It now comes out 2 weeks after Avengers, so it will have some breathing room. Now, while I think it will do big, we have to be realistic here. Unless it goes on a monster run, it will most likely not pass $1 billion worldwide, but I think at least domestically this will be one of the heavy hitters of the summer, and for me personally to be a heavy hitter here, you need to at least hit 200 million domestic. So my final prediction for Detective Pikachu is 235 million domestic and 850 million worldwide. John Wick is coming to an end with John Wick Chapter 3. The previous movies have been very well received, and has resulted in an increase from 88 million worldwide for the first one to 171 million for the second. For the third, it is coming out in a time of tougher competition, but I do think there is still room for it as it has earned enough of a good reputation for people to go out of their way to see it. But while I do think it will do good, it is not going to have explosive growth compared to the second one. So I do expect it to be the highest grossing film in the franchise, but not by much. And look, considering how Hellboy's doing, Lionsgate will appreciate this. For John Wick Chapter 3, my predictions are 110 million domestic and 200 million worldwide. Next, what we have could be the first potential bomb of the season, with Disney's live-action Aladdin. This is for a few reasons. First, besides the odd hit here or there, The Jungle Book and Beauty and the Beast, Disney's live-action movies have underperformed quite a bit, with Dumbo being the most recent. This combined it with coming out around Memorial Day. This brings up the Disney Memorial Day curse, which, if you don't know, the past few years, Disney's released a movie around Memorial Day. It usually fails or bombs, at least domestically. The main two being Tomorrowland and Alice Through the Looking Glass, and to a smaller extent, Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Men Tell No Tales. That was a smaller extent because it did about 170, 175 domestic, and I think worldwide it was like 700 million, so not a failure, but a disappointment. The other two, though, straight up bombs. Even if you take this out of the equation, the first trailers that were shown, people were not happy with it. And it was not until the main trailer was released people started to warm up to it. This movie is really facing an uphill battle, and I think it'll be a decent success, but nothing special. So for Aladdin, I'm predicting 210 million domestic and 650 million worldwide. The remake of The Lion King will be a bigger one in a few months. Now we have a much smaller movie with an interesting premise with Brightburn. This is a horror movie with the premise of Superman as a kid, but what if he turned evil? The trailer was creepy enough, so as long as the word gets out about this movie, it should make money. One thing that will hurt it is that yes, it is counter-programming to the big blockbusters. It will still get crushed though where it is placed. It is coming out the same weekend as Aladdin, and then following weekend is Godzilla. So really this movie will make a profit if it has a small budget. My prediction is 45 million domestic and 70 million worldwide. We are at the last weekend of May and we got 2 more movies coming out. First, it's Godzilla King of the Monsters. Now, I may think this is big. However, the other 2 movies in the franchise, the Godzilla movie from 2014 and Kong Skull Island, both have not passed 200 million domestic and 600 million worldwide each. Now, you can make the case that, well, for Godzilla, they kept them until the end and that disappointed audiences, and this time, all they're showing is basically just fights between the monsters, so that will get people to come back. And you may be right. From what I've seen from the trailers, they've been well received, and as long as the reviews are like, yeah, they deliver on the fights, this should become the highest grossing movie in the franchise and set up Godzilla vs. Kong nicely next year. I'm going to go with 220 million domestic and 730 million worldwide. Lastly, the last movie I'm covering in May is Rocketman. Now, at first I was not going to give this much thought, however, after the blown up success of Bohemian Rhapsody, and the fact that the trailers for this have actually been good, I wanted to make a prediction for it. Besides those facts, this is the story of Elton John, one of the most famous musicians ever, so as long as it is good, it will make money. Also, this one really does work as counter-programming to everything as a big budget musical. I do think, like Bohemian Rhapsody, this will do bigger internationally than domestically, so with that, I'm going to go give it a $160 million domestic and 600 million worldwide prediction. That is it for the month of May and my predictions. It is good to be back, and remember, besides the video, there will be weekly updates on Instagram at TylerCallahan95 and Tyler Callahan Media. What do you think these movies will do? Let me know in the comments below. I want to try and start a discussion about these movies and see how they do. As always, thank you for watching.